Few things are scarier than going to prison. But what if you were suddenly left all by yourself because all of the guards and the prisoners were mysteriously and brutally killed? How scary would that be? And what if I told you that all the garbage cans could move around the room on their own? Okay, maybe that's not as scary, but it's just one of the things that we need to talk about when I review Prison Alone by QuByte Interactive. There's not a whole lot of setup to Prison Alone. Like the title suggests, you start the game stuck in a prison, alone. Thankfully, you aren't confined to a single cell, so you'll be able to walk around the cell block and explore your creepy surroundings. It's not exactly clear what happened in this prison, but whatever it was certainly brutal. There's blood splattered everywhere, and signs that the prisoners have been dragged away by something. Equipped with nothing more than a flashlight, our hero will spend around an hour looking for a way to escape lockup. In that time, he'll read a bunch of notes and official documents that'll shed some light on the mystery, all while solving extremely simple puzzles and trying not to laugh out loud at the pathetic attempts at jump scares. Once you find the exit, the game will immediately end and you'll never think about this game ever again. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, because I have to admit that I actually really like the prison setting. It's just one of those locations that is rife with possibilities, filled with a certain level of danger and dread, even without the supernatural creepiness added in. It really is the kind of setting that inherently comes with a tortured history, and once you turn the lights off and take away the guards and prisoners, it becomes the perfect place to set a horror game. And to the game's credit, the prison actually looks pretty good. Although the game mostly takes place in a small space, the developer does a pretty good job of making each cell block look and feel a little different. And it's not just what goes bump in the dark that is effectively spooky, but also the bits where we're investigating offices and medical areas that are drenched in the obnoxiously bright fluorescent lighting. As a horror fan, I appreciate that we're stuck in something other than a haunted mansion. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot to do in this prison. Aside from reading the letters left around, the game is split up into two types of puzzles. The first will have you searching for post-it notes that reveal a 4-digit password that you can use to open up locked doors. The other puzzle is a series of switches that you'll need to turn on in the correct order using a simple trial and error method. Both of these puzzles are repeated multiple times throughout the game, and neither of them will take you more than a minute or two to figure out. Now, you may have noticed that I haven't actually brought up anything about the combat or stealth or hiding from whatever brutally killed those other prisoners. Well, that's because the supernatural creatures that are haunting this particular prison are completely harmless. They can't hurt you, and you can't hurt them. They're a complete non-factor. Most of them are quite literally locked up, smashing their heads against the bars as you walk by. Further in the game, you'll run into bits where something will race right towards you. But don't worry, because it's going to disappear right in front of you. It always does that. There's a bit where a bunch of hospital beds fly up in the air. That would normally be scary, but at this point, you know that all these jump scares can't hurt you. Oh look, blood has suddenly been added to the interrogation room. Oh, the horror! The only way this would be scary is if I was the one forced to clean it up. The truth is, I found a lot of the attempted scares to be more funny than horrifying. This is the first game that I've ever seen that has used those caution wet floors signs to scare the player, and none of it works. The moment you realize the creatures living in the prison can't hurt you, the game ceases to be scary. The moody lighting and atmosphere may get some players for a little while, but once the illusion is broken, there's no going back. And therein lies the real problem with Prison Alone. With no scares, there just isn't much of a point to the game. The story here is so paper thin that the developers didn't even bother to come up with an ending. This is meant to be an hour-long haunted prison roller coaster ride, with the scares doing most of the heavy lifting. There's nothing especially noteworthy about the puzzles or the gameplay. You're really just here for the frights. And if the scares don't work on you, then all you're really left with is a very boring roller coaster ride. I suppose there are other problems with Prison Alone, like the limited control settings or some performance issues, but let's be honest here, none of that matters. It's not like the game would suddenly be better if I could invert the camera. Prison Alone is a toothless horror game that ultimately squanders a pretty good setup and location. The story certainly isn't interesting enough to keep it afloat, and the ending is so anticlimactic that it's actually kind of insulting. Who knew that going to prison would be this dull? The concept of a haunted prison is rife with possibilities. Sadly, the new horror game Prison Alone squanders that intriguing setup with laughably bad jump scares and a story that is so inconsequential that the developers didn't even bother to finish it. Worse yet, the puzzles feel like an afterthought, and the admittedly atmospheric prison isn't that much fun to investigate. And did I mention that it's barely 45 minutes long? Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the punishment of Prison Alone doesn't fit the crime. Hey, thanks for watching my review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. Who's your favorite video game criminal? This can be for real crimes like in the Grand Theft Auto games, or for fictional, silly crimes. Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we're going to be back later this week with reviews of 2 different brawlers. I'm talking about Buccaneer Ship Shape and Fallen City Brawl. While you wait for that, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.